Just as I had promised before, I will do some video for this channel concerning national cultural autonomy. And also, at some point, as I had said before, a video of self-criticism, criticism of Dr. Weizfeld, and criticism of Donna Newman. And yeah, I will be criticizing the federated MLM cadres. That will have to wait, though. Because first, before I do that, of course, I'm going to be doing the videos on the national cultural autonomy. But I've been paying close attention to the particular situation that Dr. Weizfeld is dealing with, so that is what I am going to be covering today as an update for you. So, without further ado, here is Dr. Weizfeld speaking with Steve Struggle. Now, I had interviewed Steve Struggle for this channel before, and Steve Struggle was in the original Black Panther Party. It's come out, it's become more known to people that he was also in the Maoist Internationalist movement. He is considered officially the representative of the old guard of Panther Code.
Good morning to you, Steve.
Morning.
Morning to everyone. And a new day's coming, I believe, and I think that we're bringing it about. So
yep,
again,
I agree. I agree.
So here we are. I'm Dr. Eibieman Weizfeld, political scientist in Montreal, as we say here. And this is introducing as well Steve Struggle of the Black Panthers in the American Revolution scene. So here we go. Last week's video with Ahmad was 112 views on the two channels that it's been featured on. So
nice.
I think that 112 hardcore, serious people can do whatever they want.
I agree.
This is what we're doing, and this is what we're making at the same time. I have some news to tell you, Steve. I've had to deal with the court here in Montreal,
right,
because I've been charged with criminal mischief for having written the words "and a free Palestine" on an empty space in small but capital letters on a poster for the Israel Day Parade. Okay.
Dr. Weizfeld looks a lot better with a beard, wouldn't you say? I should mention right now, before I forget, that there are 3 links in the description of this video. The first link will link you to Dr. Weizfeld's channel, Abraham Weizfeld PhD. The second link will link you to Steve Struggle's channel, Pantherism. And the third link will link you to Panther Power. And Panther Power is basically an archive representative channel which gives you somewhat of an idea of what the line of the old guard of Panther Code is. The idea of Panther Power was an idea which came straight from Captain 9mm. I should point that out. Anyway, let's get back to the conversation between Dr. Weizfeld, the Jewish Bundist, and Steve Struggle, the Black Panther.
So, they decided that, this is a criminal act, so it's called criminal mischief, and they're proceeding summarily. Well, their first decision made by the Crown prosecutor, we have a king here, so it's called the Crown prosecutor. So they decided to go ahead with the charge. Now, the Crown prosecutor is not going to drop the charge, which they could have. So that's one. So they're into prosecuting me. Okay, fine. So secondly, they're proceeding summarily, which means they're not going to ask for a prison time, which is unlikely, but it means that I can't get a jury. like it's going to be up to a judge, and then they choose, the judge, that is going to hear the case. The prosecution does so by setting the date and the time, so they can choose the judge. So this is the problem. The second problem is that in order to get out of detention when I was first arrested, I had to sign a paper saying that I wouldn't return to the Jewish Community Center. And I didn't know if it meant, until the first hearing or, until the whole process is finished. So it seems that this is a condition that's being imposed, for until there's a judgment, like the whole process, a year and a half, 2 years or whatever. So I can't accept that, so I applied to have this condition removed. And the first day, on the first appearance, this lawyer that was supposed to help me didn't do anything at all. He said that he was going to speak to the prosecutor, which he didn't. So dumped that initial help, which wasn't a help, got a hold of the prosecutor myself, asked the prosecutor to drop that release condition, and the prosecutor has refused. So next step is that I've applied for a preliminary procedural hearing in order to hear my motion to lift the conditions prohibiting me from going back to the Jewish Community Center. So I've sent that, to the court itself, and not just to the prosecutor. So the court is supposed to take it up, set a date for a hearing, and they haven't done so. So they don't even follow their own regulations, their own procedures, because they don't want to let me, go back to the Jewish Community Center. That's the whole point. They don't want me to be part of the Jewish community, even though I'm Jewish. They want to define, like a Jewish person can only be a Zionist now, so it's no longer a Jewish community, it's a Zionist community, according to the prosecutor and according to the complainant and according to who knows what. So, that's what's happened this week. And the consequences is this, okay. So I'm enrolled, to go to the annual General Assembly of the Holocaust Museum, which I've been to before, and I've been to various meetings of the Holocaust survivors there at the Jewish Community Center as well, to which I was invited by a Holocaust survivor from Hungary, actually. And so if I go back to the Jewish Community Center, Steve, they could arrest me, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back, see if they have the guts, to arrest a second-generation Holocaust survivor on the way to an annual general meeting assembly of the Holocaust Museum, in the Jewish Community Center. If they do that,
when is this supposed to be? What day is this? What day is this? You're doing this?
September the 12th.
Okay, so we have some time. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got 3 weeks for the court to reply and say, oh yeah, okay, fine. You can have, a preliminary hearing, and we can hear your motion, all legally set up, in legal format and everything, and then a judge can say whether or not I should be barred from the Jewish Community Center. Okay, I don't think any judge can reasonably ask me to, not go to the Jewish Community Center and to the Holocaust Museum when I'm a second-generation Holocaust survivor. If they do that, they bring themselves in the court into disrepute, discrediting the court itself. So I don't think they would. But in any case, I have to go back to the Jewish Community Center on the 12th, and then, see what they will do. Like I'm challenging them to arrest me, in other words. And if they do arrest me, my next court hearing is October the 30th. So that would be about a month and a half in prison. And then I would have a chance at the next court hearing to actually have the motion to dismiss the condition heard by a judge, because I don't think the court's going to let me get a hearing to allow a judge to decide on the matter. So that's, like what I'm bound to do, by conviction and by logic, like I can't let them get away with anything like that. So the September the 12th is the deadline. And then I'll probably be in prison until October the 30th. So, in terms of Jewish tradition, like September the 12th, you know what that means? because September the 15th is Rosh Hashanah, New Year's, and you're supposed to be, like, it's supposed to be good times. And then, September the 25th is Yom Kippur, the day of fasting, when you're supposed to sort of, beg for your life for the coming year from the deity, supposedly, so, not many, like Jewish people still believe that, but, to be in prison on Yom Kippur, in fasting, well, in prison, like Jewish community will not stand for this.
Actually, among the most ill-religious of Jewish people, Yom Kippur is taken extremely seriously. And that's regardless of whether you believe in divinity or not believe in divinity. Like, you could believe in divinity and be extremely religiously observant, but you could believe in divinity and not be observant at all. You could also be super observant and not believe in divinity. You gotta separate religiosity from theology sometimes to understand how people are. But anyway, just a correction here: Yom Kippur is taken more seriously by Jewish people, by the entire Jewish diaspora nation, with of course certain exceptions. But like the most ill-religious, or even some of the most atheistic of Jewish people, tend to view Yom Kippur as the most important day. See, if you don't even believe in the divinity, the divine divinity, or theity, or Hashem, it is a very important time for self-reflection and for us as Jewish people to be accountable to each other. It's also important to read that the Book of Jonah is read, because it shows you that sacrifices have nothing to do with our atonements, and that's why we fast. In the Book of Jonah, Jonah goes to the city of Nineveh of Syria, and pretty much tells them to repent, and they do, much to his dismay, and then he's angry about it. A lot of Jewish people who understand what the Torah culture is all about find themselves a lot in that same position. So I just feel like I need to make that correction, as it was asked of me to make this correction a couple times. And so that they're just for the record, Dr. Weizfeld fasts every Yom Kippur, and he also fasts on Ramadan in solidarity with the Muslims. Very important that I should point that out. And I'm very upset that it's highly unlikely that Dr. Weizfeld won't be arrested. A lot of us are very upset by this. You can tell Steve Struggle's a bit upset, but he's definitely in support of Dr. Weizfeld's convictions. The same is true with me. I'm in support of Dr. Weizfeld's convictions, although I think that this is tactically dangerous. However, Dr. Weizfeld's strategies have been known to work, as crazy as they may seem. There is some sort of genius behind how he approaches this situation. And I'm not very happy that he will not be doing Yom Kippur in the safety of his own surroundings. This makes me very upset. Anyway, we're going to proceed with this conversation between Dr. Weizfeld, the Jewish Bundist, and Steve Struggle, the Black Panther.
I want the Jewish community to revolt. I want the Jewish community to stand up and say to the Zionists, machers and leaders that are manipulating this host condition to, get lost and let, Dr. Abraham Weizfeld free. So this is, the way it's going to play out. I think that's what's going to be happening. I don't see, the court, letting me off on this. I'm going to be going in on September the 12th and then challenging them, to, back off and let a Jewish person, be Jewish and not a Zionist. That's about what it is all about. Yeah. Well, I've already won the initial case, the book, my book was banned, from the Jewish Public Library, by this librarian who made the complaint in the first place. And it turned out that the administration of the Jewish Public Library had not known what this librarian at the circulation desk, was doing. She just did it on her own, because she's a Zionist and she thinks that she's, obeying a higher authority, which is the Zionist lobby, the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs here in Canada. It's like AIPAC. So, if the higher ups, want to, let this, roll out as it's going to be rolling out, then fine, they're going to suffer the consequences. And then we're going to have an accounting afterwards. I can call a Jewish court, Kahila. I can call on the Canadian Jewish Congress to be convened, in plenary to discuss this matter as well. These are sort of legal avenues within the Jewish community that I can pursue as well, that I intend to. But they tried to shut down the Canadian Jewish Congress because it's democratic. Any Jewish person can come there and register and vote. Like it's totally open. So it's like direct democracy there. But they shut that down and they replaced it with the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, because they cut off the money to the Canadian Jewish Congress and they gave it to the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs. It's a total manipulation. It's like a dictatorship. And it's like this state of Israel, the Zionist state of Israel, operating here inside Montreal, within the Jewish community, as if, they're governing the Jewish community, as if they're the government of the Jewish community here in Montreal, even though we don't have a vote. This is the whole Zionist trip. That's what it's all about.
Well, who is going to go with you to the community center next month?
I'm not sure yet. There has to be some people who come there and put it on camera and record it. It has to go on a recording. Yeah.
Yeah, I would highly suggest it. I would suggest that you have to have people go with you.
Yeah, that's right. But the Palestinians are afraid to go there, because, if Palestinians, go to the Jewish Community Center, even on the sidewalk in front of the place, the police will find some way to arrest them. They're going to be like removed, as quickly as possible. That's and then of course, there's an Israel flag flying in front of the place as well, together with the Quebec and Canadian flags. Well, like who decided to put that up there? Not me. It's all a dictatorial practice here that's being inflicted on me. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, what do you think is behind all this? Why were you banned from the center? That seems to be the main issue here.
Yeah. They're upset. Like I've been going to the center, like many times over the years. But this time, like I was just coming out of a Holocaust survivors meeting to which I was invited. A Holocaust survivor invited me to come to the meeting, and, they, of course, like I get to meet people there. They get to know me. They get to know that I'm, super Jewish, like, and all this, like I even speak Yiddish. So they can't deny that I'm Yiddish, that I'm Jewish. But they're trying to say that I'm not Jewish because I'm not a Zionist, so this contradiction becomes evident, and it becomes apparent to everybody in there. So they want to stop me from coming back, because, I was actually invited into the survivors meeting. You have to be invited into it, because it's like not a public meeting. So, they have to stop me somehow. And they're using this as an excuse to do it. And they, they even tried to get rid of my book in the Jewish Public Library, but the book is there now. It was brought back because I, threatened to charge whoever was holding the book with theft, which is what it was. Like the book was taken from the library. If you steal a book from the library, without, signing it out, without the intention of bringing it back, they charge you with theft. Well, in this case, the police were holding the book. So the police were guilty of theft, so they had to bring it back to the library. It's now listed in the catalog there. So that's that, for the book. And so that case is one. I hope to win the rest of the case issues as well. And if not, then I'll stick it out in prison. I've done prison before. I've even done a hunger strike in prison before, when I was in prison in Ottawa against the U.S. cruise missile being tested in Canada.
Let me ask you this: how would the prison sentence affect your status in Canada?
Nothing. No effect whatsoever. I already have a prison record. The only
No,
effect
no.
that
I mean, okay. Your status in Canada, could it be revoked and you be deported because of that?
no, I'm a citizen. I was born in Toronto. I was
Okay,
conceived in a
fine.
refugee
Okay.
camp in American Germany, after the war, at the Wetzlar refugee camp. But I was born in Toronto, so
Okay.
I'm kosher there. But
Okay. Okay. Well, that's very
my
important.
prison record has kept me out of the United States. I'm banned from the U.S. of A. I can't get in there. Even if I go and try to get in there, if I step on American territory, they can put me in prison for 30 days because, that's the law. So that's the only effect. Now, the effect that it may have on me getting back into Palestine, Israel, that's another question. Yes, I have to defeat this, in order to not enable them, to be able to
Well,
deny me entry there. Yeah.
let me ask you a question. Right now, can you be denied entry into Palestine?
No, no, no. They
Okay.
can't deny me entry. But the last time they only gave me a visa for a month. Usually they give a tourist a visa for 3 months. Last time they only gave me a visa for 1 month.
Well, let me ask you this then: to weighing the long term situation, is it beneficial to lose access to Palestine over access to the Jewish Community Center? I think that's something that you have to consider
I've
because
considered
if
it. I have a
okay,
strat-
okay,
I got a strategy, Steve. I got it
okay,
because I can always apply for Israeli citizenship, and then they can't
what?
stop me from coming in, and they
But
can't stop me from staying there more than 3 months.
okay, do they have to grant you this? Do they have to grant you citizenship?
Uh, yes, except for, you see, the right of return for Jewish people to, the state of Israel is
Right,
basic law there. Like every Jew,
right.
like supposedly, can
I know.
apply for and
Yeah,
get citizenship. Okay. No
okay.
Palestinians, like, okay. But, you know, uh, uh, but there's a little sort of, clause in that paragraph which says, unless the person is a threat to the security of the state of Israel.
So, for those that might be confused, Dr. Weizfeld does not actually support the existence of the State of Israel. He recognizes it on the terms that it is recognized by the UN. And he is for a no-state solution. Same with me, same with Donna Newman. That's the same with the 5 other Bundists that are no longer with us, as well as other Bundist formations that have adopted the positions that were taken by the Jewish Bundist diaspora movement. So, a lot of us are very critical of this strategy that Dr. Weizfeld is attempting with. Maybe it will work, because like I said before, there's a certain genius behind Dr. Weizfeld that, there's been times I thought that his ideas would not work and that they just did anyway. However, the concern is that Dr. Weizfeld's more known than he was before, and there does seem to be a political prejudice being launched against him. I would really ask that those that see this video share it on various forms of social media, keep sharing it, make a big deal about this, because this is not getting as known as it should. I mean, it's so minuscule, writing "and a free Palestine" on a cardboard sign, basically. This is insane. I mean, he's not even. I mean, a vandalism charge shouldn't have prison time to it, and like such a menace to a sign. It's just, this is an obvious, calculated effort to destroy Dr. Weizfeld or to shut him down, or like, this is really annoying that this is even happening at all. And I had spoken to Jason Unruh recently, and he is still baffled that such a case against him could even exist. So, the Jewish people do need a revolt. My question is, where the hell is Jewish Voice for Peace? I guess J Street isn't going to care because Dr. Weizfeld is an anti-Zionist and J Street is liberal Zionist. I could ask the question: where is the what was it? The International Jewish Anti-Zionist League? I think that's what it's called. Where are they? Where are all the faux, small, liberal, fake Bundist groups? Where are they? This is getting very obvious that people like the struggle, but they don't like solutions. And Dr. Weizfeld, helped contribute to solutions. He's recognized by Palestinians in Nablus as a Palestinian. And Jewish Palestinians are not a new phenomena. Unlike Israelis, which are artificial, in settlers, basically, Jewish Palestinians are an organic thing. And, I get a fact for everybody here. Did you know that Ashkenazi DNA has a lot of similarities to Palestinian DNA? In fact, there's a lot less DNA similarity with Sephardi and Palestinian. I know that that's hard for people to understand, but, I've always said, being that I am Sephardi, that Sephardim, while some of us have the Hebrew blood, most of us really don't. The Hebrew blood is to be found more in the Mizrahim and the Ashkenazim. But this really needs to be more covered. It's very frustrating that Press TV, RT, Al Jazeera, they haven't picked this up. Democracy Now! Is sure not going to pick this up. Amy Goodman doesn't care about Jewish issues. That's a fact about her. Otherwise, she would have interviewed Neturei Karta. And while Al Jazeera, RT, and Press TV have interviewed Neturei Karta there's many of them. Dr. Weizfeld is responsible for the resurrection of Bundism. All I did was help to publicize it. All Donna Newman did was really just flush out theories, that would synthesize it to be more acceptable. And when you read the manual, parts 1 and 2, you're going to realize that, okay, well, everybody was really just in support of Dr. Weizfeld. Even in our disagreements with Dr. Weizfeld, we're in support of Dr. Weizfeld. This cannot... I'm angry that this is even, being tolerated. Why is it tolerated that a Jewish man who is a second-generation Holocaust survivor, it can't go to a Jewish center? He can't go to a Holocaust museum. I don't have words. Let's proceed. Share the video. I'm asking people to share this video everywhere. If you have Twitter, share it on Twitter. If you're on Facebook, share it on Facebook. Share it everywhere. Share it, link it to people in your phones, because now in this crazy age, we can watch YouTube on our phones and stuff. Share the video, okay?
Okay.
If they want to declare me, a threat to the security of the state of Israel, well, I'll honorably, wear that title, but, they can't prove it. I'll take them to court. So, it's turning into what's called a big Megillah, a big deal.
Okay. Well, how soon can you begin that process?
As soon as
I'm saying that because if the court proceeding could prevent that from going forward, but you start before the court proceeding, then maybe you have one leg up on them. Also, my question is, can you get a continuance on September 12th? Can you get it delayed?
No, because it's the annual General Assembly of the Holocaust Museum.
No. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Can you get the court hearing delayed?
I'm trying to get a court hearing before the 12th so that I can get the condition struck down.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, which I doubt they're going to give me, because, courts, they take like a month to decide anything. Every little step takes a month and maybe more. So, they're incompetent. And also they don't have enough staff, not enough judges, because they don't have enough funding. Court system, healthcare system, everything is underfunded. And housing, everything. So, okay, let them shaft themselves. They're putting themselves into an impossible situation. So it's not me that they're attacking. They're going to end up, like undermining themselves, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if like I'm in prison and I go to court, the 30th of October, as has been set up already. There, like the judge can hear the motion to lift the condition, so I don't have to go back to prison. Okay, now, if the judge doesn't lift the condition and I do go back to prison, what do I do then? Right? The only alternative at that point, the Palestinians are on a hunger strike now. There's 5,000 Palestinian prisoners. About 1,000 of them are there, without even any charge, called administrative detention under the British colonial rule law, same law. Okay. So they're going on a hunger strike, to protest their detention and the conditions of their detention. So, like after the 30th, if I'm still in prison, then I would simply join their hunger strike. And then, I challenge them to lift the condition, or the hunger strike continues. That's the way.
Have you written this anywhere? And have you written about this anywhere? Has it been shared in any publications?
Not all of it, no.
Okay.
Are
there any journals, websites, are there any venues where you can write what's occurring to spread the word?
Yes, I've the motions, the notice of motions that I've written up to cancel the condition of release so that I can go back to the Jewish Community Center, together with 2 other motions, I've sent out, to everything that I have, all the email addresses, all the Facebook groups that I have access to, and all the media that I have access to. And you know what? I got no reply from any media, none. There's this publication in Canada called the Canadian Jewish News, and they're supposed to be covering Jewish news. But
what about RT?
On their website,
okay.
But on their website, they even call themselves Zionist publication. So
okay.
they shouldn't be calling themselves Canadian Jewish News. They should be calling themselves the Canadian Zionist News. But they have not called that. No.
What about Al Jazeera? What about Al Jazeera? Al Jazeera,
Press TV, RT, yeah.
Press TV, yeah.
I sent them all the emails, they all ignore me.
But don't you and I have a Press TV correspondent as a common friend?
Yeah.
I think we do, yeah.
Yeah. And he's contacted them.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, very good. Yeah.
He has,
yeah. Okay, very good. Tried. Okay. Very good. Okay. Well, I just want to make sure you get some press coverage here. Yeah. This is very important. What else?
If they don't, if the press doesn't come through, even the third world press doesn't come through, progressives and all that, they don't come through. Then, I continue. I just continue.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And then, eventually they get exposed as not willing to cover, like a.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of what they need to be exposed as, because right now, my main concern strategically is the coverage of the story, because I think that could positively impact the outcome, and because it seems to me that there's a number of angles that could be used to expose and inform and mobilize people for your defense, including letters to the judge, coming to the hearing with you, contacting the Canadian government in particular, and also the Jewish Community Center to demand that they stop the banning of you from the meeting.
Yeah,
it seems to me if they simply say this is okay, we will drop this banning of Dr. Weizfeld, then the whole thing goes away.
Yeah, that's right.
That seems to be the main thing that I hear is if the community center is saying that you must be banned or you are banned, then the community center can say you're not banned.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's very easy.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a court issue. The court issue comes into impact because of the community center.
Yeah.
So to me, if we even have 500 phone calls or 50 phone calls next week to the community center from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 5 phone calls an hour for 5 days, and letters and emails to their websites demanding this, then I think we're mobilizing supporters to do what they could do from the comfort of their homes, their apartments, or even their cell phones.
Yeah.
I'm missing a way we can mobilize people to the community center to simply remove the ban. That's all they have to do, and then the whole thing goes away.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, because since they are the source from which the criminal justice system is attacking you.
Yeah.
That's my view. Anyway, I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. The higher ups, will. It's not going to be the librarian who decides, to call the police on me on September the 12th. It's going to be, somebody responsible at the Holocaust Museum, or maybe a security guard at the front desk. But
well, I think we have to. I think we need to lay out if my suggestion is a good strategy. If not, what is another strategy, and get people mobilized during the next 3 weeks, because we have time to get people mobilized. And right now, we're not mobilizing anybody.
Well,
so we need to mobilize. I mean, in the sense of between you and me and the people who listen to this program, people who were listening last week, we need to get them mobilized to support you.
Yeah.
If they're mobilized to support you, then we can have an impact, even though we're not in Canada with you.
Yeah. Well, my friend, who's a survivor from Hungary, he spoke to the higher ups there and told them, asked them, why this is happening. And they gave him all sorts of excuses, which he repeated to me. So it's sort of, indicates that the higher ups are going to let this, happen. They're going to let me get arrested.
Yes, Steve Struggle has the right idea. We need to mobilize support for Dr. Weizfeld. Currently, my Bundist unit is down to me and one other person as it began due to sabotage by somebody by the name of David Maveritz. I had at least 11 Jewish Caribbeans on my side with, mobilizing for protest and anti-fascist action. I have decided to share that with you now. I'm regathering forces as best I can, but, there's a lot of sabotage towards Bundism because it's popular again. People can say, oh, no, it's a thing of the past. No, it's actually popular again. And it wouldn't be popular again without Dr. Weizfeld. And I am absolutely convinced that is why this is happening to him. So we need to mobilize support for Dr. Weizfeld. Steve Struggle has the right idea. And I agree with that. I'm going to be honest. I agree. I want to go on the record that I do not exactly hold the position that the chairman of the revolution, Dr. Weizfeld, holds. I actually share the position that Steve Struggle holds. But like Steve Struggle, I'm going to back Dr. Weizfeld's wishes based on what his logic and his convictions. And, they've served him well in the past. The concern that many of us have is it's not the same as it was before. People understand who Dr. Weizfeld is. It's coming out. That the more he's been censored, the more he's been picked up by radicals in the far left, such as Marxist-Leninist Maoists, homeless anarchists that will literally fight the cops, criminalized labor unions. Yes, there's criminalized AB, Dr. Weizfeld, when you see this, I want you to know there are criminalized labor unions in Mexico that support you. Very hard to get in touch with. And you can get in touch with Mexico, so you should seek them out, as you know what I'm talking about. Like, you look around, there's all this support for Dr. Weizfeld. The funny thing is what is being noticed is that those that support Dr. Weizfeld tend to be just as marginalized as Dr. Weizfeld himself. And when the marginalized come together, we become powerful. And that is why they're doing this to Dr. Weizfeld. That is why they are scared of Dr. Weizfeld. I repeat, the Canadian government itself is scared of Dr. Weizfeld. Now, Eibieman, I love you. And you may think that I'm doing the hyperbole thing again, but like, no, like, this is kind of transparent what's going on. And of course, Dr. Weizfeld will gladly wear the title if he's considered a threat to the state of Israel, even though he's not really a threat to much of anybody, unless changing the hearts of men and women to think correctly about different things is the threat. He's definitely no physical threat, that's for sure. Yeah, he'll fight back if he's attacked, because we are, as Jewish people, we are non-aggressive, we're not non-violent. But, he's not really violent. And he never attacks without provocation. Like Dr. Weizfeld has often held us back from being more aggressive on things. You can't possibly say that he's a threat in any physical matter. The simple truth is Zionism is imploding. The ideology is falling apart. Everybody knows it. And Dr. Weizfeld is basically undeclared but indicted anyway by Zionists worldwide as one of the greatest threats. And they don't want to say that openly. So that's why this is happening. Okay, we're going to continue with this. Again, share this with everybody. Share this video with people. And let's mobilize a protest for Dr. Weizfeld. I can't do this by myself. Even when I had 5 friends that, really pumped their stuff into a greater Bundist theory, we were not enough. There needs to be a lot more attention on this. And because Bundism is back, for all young Jewish people out there, you should know that the Bund that you're looking into wouldn't exist without this man.
Well,
detained.
But that can change. That could change.
Yes.
Even though your friend's conversation wasn't successful,
yeah.
If we continue to mobilize people and to demand this happen, if we don't demand it, it won't change. If we do demand it, it could change.
Yeah.
So that's an idea I have, is to start a campaign in your behalf on that center, and to tell them that we want these charges dropped. We want this ban dropped. With the ban drop, there's no need for any kind of. With the ban drop, that gives less rationale for the court to even mess with you. Yeah. The ban is dropped. The ban is dropped. Why am I in front of you, Judge?
Yeah. Well, we have
anyway.
We have something of an association here. like we're called the Alliance of Concerned Jewish Canadians, and the members, they could intervene here.
Well, I think they must intervene. If they don't intervene, the chance to succeed. To me, I have a different perspective. I don't want you going to prison. I don't want you inside the prison system, because anything can happen to you there. You're outside the prison system, but anything can happen to you in prison once you're in there.
Yes, because they can set you up, pay somebody, to rough you up, that sort of thing.
Or just your. But let's say that. There are many things that they can have somebody assault you. They can have somebody murder you. That your health could take a turn for the worse just being inside. Your health could take a turn for the worse. So I'm always the person to avoid people going to jail and prison.
Yeah,
I avoid that at all costs. Because once you're in there, you have no control. When you're outside, you have much more control.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I see. For example, there was some demonstrations this week against some racists who are now anti-homosexual activists, who are claiming that kids are being groomed in school by teachers, and this is a real sick movement. It's a very sick movement.
Yeah.
And so people had a demonstration against them in LA, and then the cops beat them up. Now, I'm of the view, if I know the cops are here to beat me up, I'm not going to do nothing, let the cops beat me up. I will retreat tactically, let the cops have the street. Why? I don't want to be beat up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have no. I'm not going down. I'm gonna have a conversation with the cops. Why? Why? I'm going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying the situation with, and now people have their criminal charges, they have to go to court. I'm not saying they did anything wrong demonstrating. No, no. But if you see the cops are going to attack you, just retreat.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying your situation, if we can keep you out of prison, to me, that's what we want to do. That's just my view. It's your individual situation, and I know you have to take a political stance. I want to do what I can to keep you from going to jail. That's just me.
Yeah.
The jail is just not a fun place. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like,
No,
yeah, I'm just not going to let this happen. But
no. I'm not saying you should.
no,
No,
yeah.
I'm not. No,
But
no. But I'm gonna say,
and I
can
am
we get
doing,
this stuff
what I
done?
can, legally, like I've made all the submissions
Yeah,
and everything like that,
you sure have. You sure have.
could be
You
a to
sure have.
correct this,
Yeah,
like, but
right.
I've been in prison before. I've been in prison for the cruise missile. I've been in prison for trafficking, in order to survive, here at our cultural center, even though it's legal now here in Canada, like I did 3 months there, for that. And, I've been in prison in Toronto too. I've been in prison in Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal, and, and,
Oh yeah.
I keep in shape, so anybody wants to try to pick on me, like they're going to get hurt. That's so, I've got that taken into consideration there. We've only got a couple of minutes here, but
Okay. All right.
tell me, like what you've been up to and, what's happening, what's, like the thing with you.
Well, we know as far as the Niger situation, the French, some envoys have been asked to leave, and the anti-francophone movement is continuing. So far, there's been no invasion yet, so that's a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I just want to say the issue of the new government there really has to be determined by the masses of the Nigerians.
Yeah.
Right now, they're mobilized to join the army, but
Yeah.
are they mobilized? Are they mobilizing their political and economic orientation to demand to demand that the government take certain stances to serve their interests? I'm not coming out against the government. I'm just saying for this to work in the interest of the Nigerians, even under a capitalist framework, Nigerian masses have to be heard. I'm not saying they're not being heard,
Yeah.
but I want to just caution people that the outs with the French is historically a good thing, but if the Americans take their place, it's not going to be any better.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Well,
it won't be. I mean, but that's up to the Nigerians to figure out, not
yeah.
me.
Well, I
You
read
know,
this morning that 70,000 Nigerians have volunteered, for military
oh
defense
yeah,
of the country. They're on maximum military alert now, so they're expecting an
right.
attack or something. And they've expelled, the French ambassador, is gone, like,
We should have been gone a long time ago.
yeah,
The French are like the Belgians. They're
yeah,
the most brutal. The Belgians and the Germans and the French. They have the most brutal type of rule.
yeah,
Really sick. I'm not saying the English were better. No, I'm not saying the English were better. But the
mm,
Belgians and the Belgians and the French have this really kind of sordid, despicable history.
yeah,
And with the francophone money situation and all the stuff that's going on with post-colonial France and French colonies in Africa, let's the BRICS summit does something for them.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
the BRICS summit. The BRICS summit has to do something for the forcibly underdeveloped world, and these countries are forcibly underdeveloped. They were intentionally not developed by France.
yeah,
It's really bad. It's not good. It's kind of like the reservations in many ways
yeah,
in the
yeah,
United States. So the Native people turn to gambling to make money from non-natives to provide jobs for Native people. That's what they quote had to turn to because the whole Native question was settled in the United States. Well, here's some land, good luck, and get the blank out. That kind of thing.
yeah,
So if the BRICS summit is really going to be about something, it can't be. I'm not knocking per se BRICS. I'm not, but what will be the benefit for the working class and the poor and the farmers and those living in the desert? What can we do to demobilize the Islamists who are just, I mean, that's just some nonsense there that they're throwing down.
Mm.
You know, young men and women with the gun. That's all that is. I mean, come on. They're in poverty. They choose a way out because of how they interpret the Quran. So I'm just hoping that the BRICS movement will have some real impact positively for the working class and the poor. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Loans to countries are not going to help them. I don't care from the BRICS Bank or the World Bank. A loan, you have to pay the loan back.
Yeah.
So, the whole world has to look at forcible underdevelopment. That's what's happening in many communities, or forcible ignorance. From poverty can come. I don't mean stupidity. I mean lack of development of mental faculties to critically think and come to solutions. That's what I mean by ignorance.
Yeah.
Okay. The drugs, the trafficking, all that stuff comes from forcible underdevelopment. It's really sad.
Yeah.
So so let's just hope that something good could come out of the BRICS summit. I'm just going to wait and see. I'm just going to, but creating a new bank to challenge the World Bank in of itself is simply setting up a dual power pillar. And the thing about it is, Abraham, the black people in Brazil, the Native people in Brazil, the black people in the United States and Canada and Germany and France, we cannot go to the BRICS summit because we are French and American and Brazilians. That's something that needs to change. If the Native people of the U.S. want to go, they have to be accepted as genuine nations of people. Yeah. Right now, our citizenship. Well, at least I think the Native people can pull it off, because they have identity cards that make them demonstrate they're members of another nation. Blacks, the natives in Brazil, in France, Germany, UK, we can't do anything because we're citizens of these countries.
Yeah,
and that really messes up our political clout internationally. Is damaged because of that.
Yeah,
I thought about that recently. Like, this is something that we have to address because we can't go to no conferences. We're Americans not allowed. What the fuck,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I see that. I understand. Yeah, there should be an international with a Black nation representation as well as the other national minorities, in the world. There's 3,000 nations in the world and 193 nation states. I mean,
the folks from the Amazon. Yeah. The folks from the Amazon should have some status. Yes, they should. Come on.
Yeah.
Just and because they're Brazilians, they don't have any status. I mean, I'm gonna say status to sit in bodies, to have their people's needs addressed and resolutions and solutions proposed on the international scale.
Yeah.
It's just a problem. It's a problem. I just want to share to people who are listening that these oppressed communities cannot go to international bodies because they're citizens of another country. So a black American group could not go to the Africa Forum in Russia. We're African American, but we could not go to talk about needs of African Americans because we're not a nation. We're not an African nation.
The African Union. The African Union should have representation from the Black nation of the USA.
They sure should. They sure should. And for blacks in Brazil, blacks in France, blacks in Germany, blacks in Brazil, because we were brought from Africa through the slave trade, and we have no nation. We say we can't go home to no nation. No, we cannot. There's no nation. The people from Poland go back to Poland. I mean, they have a Polish connection. Yeah. These nations, France, France from Francophone Africa, England from West Africa, probably Black Americans. We have no right of return anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying these organizations like BRICS, these conferences, Black people of color who have a history of victim of slavery or theft of land and genocide have no status in that. If that could change, people like me, you, others could go to this fora and start making our demands known. But right now we're locked out because of our citizenship, at least me, that kind of thing. I mean, it's just something I just want to share. It's just something I want people to think about. That's all.
Right on. Okay, that's probably the end of our minutes, for this week. So,
okay, brother, thank you.
Okay, until next week then, Steve. Great.
Until next week. Talk to you. Thank you.
And you know what we are looking at and what we've been seeing through this whole thing, this is a thing that, by the way, for people who don't know, I actually know Comrade Shabazz X of Black Nation. Black Nation is an all-black demarchist group for Black national cultural autonomy. Some people may have heard Jason Unruh reference this group. But me and Comrade Shabazz X, we used to talk about the Black-Jewish connection. And what you're seeing here with this conversation with Steve Struggle and Dr. Weizfeld, you're looking at the Black-Jewish connection. Anyway, I'm not going to use more words. I don't want to be super wordy. In retrospect, I've been super wordy in the past, and I may have been super wordy for this video. I hope not. That the thing is just, please spread this video out. Like, share this video with everyone. Let it be known what's going on here. And in regards, I guess I have one thing to say. Down with Zionism. Long live Judaism. Long live Jewishness. Long live the interfaith city of Jerusalem. Long live Palestine. Down with Zionism. Down with the Zionist state. Israel is the name of the entire Jewish diaspora nation. It is not the name of any country. The kingdom of Israel has been gone for a very long time. It's time to promote, a better world. And for that better world to exist, we need to see the end of Zionism. If Israel, the state of Israel, is to justify itself, then it needs to recognize the state of Palestine. If it cannot recognize the state of Palestine, then the state of Israel really just has already discredited, which it has. The state of Israel has discredited itself. You can't be penalized for saying free Palestine unless it's time that the Western governments just openly admit their totalitarian nature and stop hiding it. I guess they would have to deal with their overprivileged citizens. That's the thing in the first world. You don't want to clamp down too much on your overprivileged citizens because then they might push back. But this does show that empires fall, and what's happening is Zionism is falling. BRICS is a great example of Western power falling. I'm not necessarily saying that I favor BRICS or anything like that. My opinion wouldn't be much for this video, but, BRICS is a sign of the times. Americanism and Zionism are falling apart. The Western imperialists have to now contend with Eurasian powers that they don't know how to deal with. I mean, let's be honest. The United States of America does not know how to deal with China or Russia at this point. So anyway, ma'asalama, adio, farewell. Share the video, please.